Right now, right now. 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 Oh, I got a real good feeling.
We try to bring you high-quality educational and informational content every single day. Why do you think the price is having such an anemic time? The news story of the hour. Jump onto the chart. Is this the beginning of a massive financial unraveling? We got to add a little addendum to the show map today. So we start here on the daily. Now, we've been looking at the RSI on Bitcoin's daily chart for the last several days. It always has been, but it's been increasing over the last 50 years since it's been out. The government has been getting bigger. I have my voice back. Hey guys, what's going on? Jebb here, and welcome back to Coffee and Crypto Live. This is your week daily morning show where we bring you the latest in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, technical, on-chain, geopolitical, and fundamental analysis. And in today's episode, we are going to be talking about a headline story called DCG. If you don't know, DCG, Digital Currency Group, is a very major player in the cryptocurrency space. They were founded by Barry Silbert, and they own several different companies, namely Grayscale, which holds the Grayscale Bitcoin ETF, Bitcoin Trust. They hold about 600,000 Bitcoin. They also are the holders of the company Genesis, which is holding $900 million of Gemini Earns money, and they also own Coindesk. Well, there's a big development going on with DCG right now, and that is very simply that DCG stopped paying dividends. The unfortunate thing for anybody who holds stock in DCG is that they're not going to be getting any dividends right now because DCG paused them in an attempt to preserve liquidity. This is oftentimes one of the first things that a company does before it goes bankrupt. Could we be seeing DCG's empire start to collapse in on itself? That's what we're going to be talking about in today's episode of Coffee and Crypto Live. And I decided, you know what, we will have some audio for the stream. Really apologize for that. Was just playing the mime. Wow, we got a lot of comments there for a second. Thank you guys so much. Literally, I just did over here. I turned off the mic. I apologize. I just take two, no volume. There we go. All right, let's see. How is everybody doing? We got 150 people in chat already. Thank you guys so very much for tuning in. As you guys know, I like to go ahead and read the person that was first. I like it when you guys race to see who was first. Looks like Andrian Petrov was first, said hello. Shout out to you, Andrian. We got green names to read. We got Justin Eubanks in chat, said sixth. Good morning, Jebb and Sarah. Good to see you, Justin Eubanks. We got Win Peoples. Good morning, all, and God bless. Hello. We got Adam Rorick in chat saying good morning. Good morning, Adam. We got Siobhan Golay. Good morning, everyone. Joined here today with us. Almost sounds like we're at like the beginning of a service. Like, good morning, all the brethren and the sisterithin, or whatever they're called, that are here joined with us today. The dearly beloved that are joined with us here today. It sounds like a wedding. Siobhan Golay also said, no audio, Jebb. Really? Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Adam Rorick, Win People, said no audio. Siobhan Golay said no mic, no audio, all from the beginning. Come on. We had Win People's do a member chat that said no audio. We had Dwan Wu said, dude, I know. That was pretty rough. Siobhan Golay said, cool. Adam Rourke said, hey now. Grand Roofing Incorporated is in chat. Said, good morning, everybody. Hope everyone is doing well today. Doing pretty well. My family and I have been watching The Sound of Music, and that movie is like 3 hours long. So we've been watching it the last 2 nights. And if you've never watched The Sound of Music, you absolutely have to. The reason it came to mind is because I sing Grand Roofing Incorporated's name sometime. And it just reminded me of all the amazing music in there. My son's just over here going, dear. Anyway, Siobhan Golay said, just a quick get to know your audience question. Where am I from, Jebb? Where am I from? Where are you from, Siobhan Golay? I don't know. Where are you from, Siobhan Golay? You'll have to tell me that. I feel like I should know that. OMAC is in chat, said, good morning, everybody. Time to prepare to learn. Likewise, yeah, Win Peoples, where are you from? If that's not an invasive question. Everybody said, I think I have gone deaf. Yeah, I'm sorry. I decided I'd turn into a mime. Well, we do have an article today by a French person, so maybe that's where the whole mimery business came from. Anyway, like I said, DCG, Digital Currency Group, is one of the largest crypto corporate empires in this entire industry. They own Coindesk, they own Grayscale, they own Genesis, and they own a couple of different companies that you probably have not heard of, but you probably heard of those three. About 2 weeks ago, Cameron Winklevoss, one of the Winklevoss twins, other twin being Tyler Winklevoss, Cameron penned an open letter to Barry Silbert over at DCG, basically saying, hey, DCG, your company Genesis, owes our company Gemini and our own EARN program $900 million, and we've been trying to get it back, and you won't return it. If you won't try and get around to this, then we're going to have to start firing shots. And then about a week later, Cameron came out and accused them of accounting fraud and called on the board of directors for DCG to fire Barry Silbert, take him off of the platform, take him out of the position of chief executive officer, and find someone else, or else they were going to file a lawsuit. Well, there's a big development today, and we're going to jump into it a little bit later. Josh Denham said, Northwestern Arkansas. I'm just kidding, Arkansas. Hey, Jebb, would love to hear a comment about BitBoy Crypto after everything that happened to him. Stay safe. What happened to Ben? I don't know what happened. Did something happen? I don't know. You guys will have to let me know or point me in that direction. I didn't know anything had happened. I hope he's okay. All right. Siobhan Golay, you said India. I was going to say India, but I didn't know. I actually was going to say India, but I didn't want to. That's one of those questions where I don't want to be wrong on because I'm going to feel really bad if I'm wrong. Anyway, we're going to jump into several different points today. The first one's going to be DCG. Second one, technical analysis. Third one, we're going to talk about geopolitics again. Some of you are like, geopolitics. The rest of you are like, whoa, we really need to pay attention because the headline we're reading today is, according to this one anthropologist and geopolitical analyst, we've basically already entered a second Cold War, Third World War, however you want to phrase it. Very, very important things going on globally that impact crypto, but also impact you. Anyway, we're going to start with the market watch. Right now, Bitcoin trading at $21,410, up 1.03% over the last 24 hours. Over the last 7 days, up 22.85%. And about 28.86% year to date. Ethereum sitting at $1,600. We love to see it, up 20% over the last 7 days and up 32.75% year to date. XRP up 1.46% over the last 24 hours, up 16.01% year to date. Cardano is actually down 1/3% today, but is up 13% this week. And it is up 41%, rounding up slightly. It's up about 41% year to date, sitting at 35 cents. That is something else that we like to see. Solana has been going through a major recovery, major recovery, up 131% year to date. So everybody who bought Solana and had faith in the project down there at those very low lows ended up making some money. I don't know whether Solana will ever reclaim its former glory, but it actually does make sense that it was able to reclaim some of it because there is a very large Solana community. The tricky thing with Solana is that, as far as I'm aware, I would have to check myself on this, but as far as I'm aware, the FTX bankruptcy, basically the people in charge of FTX now are still holding a substantial amount of Solana that would have to be liquidated in the event that FTX ever actually gets around to paying its creditors back. Not totally sure about that, but I do believe they're still holding a lot of it. I don't think all of that was dumped onto the market. We've got Litecoin up 23%. We've got Tron up 13%. Avalanche up nearly 60% year to date. Again, this year is only 18 days old, so it's wonderful to see that that is taking place. All right. The thing I also want to point out here on CoinMarketCap is about 5 days ago, you can see the entire market moved in unison. Look over here at these 7-day price graphs. Bitcoin went on a massive run. It's basically been trading sideways for 4 to 5 days now. Same thing with Ethereum. Went on a massive run, especially just had this like plateau. It looks like you're looking at the right side of a canyon, basically, is what you're looking at here. And there's this flat part up here and then just falls off right there. That's the market moving to the upside into this plateau that we've been in, this plateau region that we've been in over the last several days. Basically, what I really want you to see here is that every single one of these markets, except for the stable coins, looks more or less virtually identical. 5 days ago and before, the entire market was moving in unison, and even today, the entire market is more or less still moving in unison. That's normally what you see happen when you see a very powerful movement taking place on the market. And it also draws an interesting question. Why is the market trading sideways right here? Why is the entire market hitting its head at once? Surely every single chart does not have the same level of resistance. Well, individually they don't, but collectively they do, because as you can see today, Bitcoin on CoinMarketCap is officially trading, crypto is officially trading at $1,002 billion. Need to have like a sound effect with the, like a popper when you're at a party or something, or a hooray sound effect. Yay, we're back at $1 trillion. We haven't broken through it yet, and that's what I really want you to take note of, is that we are here, but we are not through. And there is a very big difference, because before FTX collapsed, the rest of the crypto market actually did rally back above $1 trillion. In fact, over the last 9 months, Bitcoin has been slightly above or slightly below $1 trillion. The fact that we're sitting up here means that we have erased most of the losses that we saw following FTX's downfall, but we have not seen a proper break to the upside through it. But I'm going to be honest, I have seen markets like this so many times in my 5 years here in the space. And I have watched the market come up here and just push its head as hard as it can against a major level of resistance. In this case, crypto is hitting its head on $1 trillion. Yes, Bitcoin has its own levels of resistance around 21,600, but in reality, the entire market is hitting its head on the exact same resistance at the exact same time. And I've watched this happen before, and I'll tell you exactly where it happened before. It happened right over here when Bitcoin was moving into its first bull market. The 2021 bull market. We saw Bitcoin trying to hit its head on about $1 trillion. This is mostly skewed by what happened with Ethereum as well. We saw our head being hit on $1 trillion, as you can see right over here. This is towards the very end of 2020. Just zoom in here. We hit our head over and over and over again on $1 trillion, and we sat up here for like 3 weeks, and then we broke through, and we added $750 billion in market capitalization in the month of February of 2021. Wow. That's what we saw happen on the Bitcoin chart as well. If you look back on the Bitcoin chart, at the same time that we were hitting our heads on $1 trillion market cap, we were also hitting our heads on $20,000. And that's the convenient thing about $1 trillion and $20,000. $20,000 is forever enshrined as one of the most important levels of resistance in the history of Bitcoin, because it was the all-time high of the 2017 bull market. And because we're not just trading at like $300,000, it's still a relevant level as well. $20,000 was being tested at the exact same time, which was right here, that we saw the rest of the crypto space testing $1 trillion, which was actually right here. We were seeing Bitcoin break a major level of resistance, and we were seeing crypto break a major level of resistance at the exact same time. Except they weren't exactly at the exact same time. We were breaking 1 trillion up here. I'll show you on the total market caps chart. We were breaking $1 trillion market cap right here. When we were breaking above 20,000 on Bitcoin, we were actually breaking $600 billion in crypto. We were breaking the $1 trillion market cap region a few months later. Now, because the market dominance of Bitcoin has fallen, as you'll be able to see down here, Bitcoin's market cap is significantly lower than it was. Market dominance was significantly lower than it was back here. Those two forces have brought Bitcoin into alignment where it can be breaking the $20,000 region, trying to hold the $20,000 region at the exact same time that it's trying to break and get above the $1 trillion region. Which means that if Bitcoin or even Ethereum, but probably nothing else, if one of those assets goes on an absolute tear and adds 20, 30, 40, $100 billion in market cap, and we get a breakout on both of those assets, or even just on one of them for a little while that drags the other one with it, then not only has Bitcoin broken critical resistance, it's also broken critical market size resistance of $1 trillion. So we're going to come back to the technicals here in a little bit. I just wanted to go ahead and show you that first. The first thing we were going to talk about in today's actual content of the stream is this article right here. This will be relatively quick because I've already informed you guys on much of this. Digital Currency Group halts dividends in an effort to preserve liquidity. Digital Currency Group, a venture capital firm which owns a stake in more than 200 crypto projects, announced the dividend halt while one of its subsidiaries is in financial strife. That would be the subsidiary Genesis, which owes Gemini $900 million and also has $175 million stuck on FTX. According to a letter sent to shareholders on January 17th, that was yesterday, the firm is focused on strengthening our balance sheet by reducing operating expenses and preserving liquidity. DCG said it was also considering selling some of the assets within its portfolio. That's interesting because most of the assets that it is holding that are in its portfolio that I'm aware of are either in Genesis, which is the company that is actually in the liquidity crisis. So if they start selling things, okay, makes sense, but they don't have anywhere near as much as their other company that they own, Grayscale. Grayscale owns 600,000 Bitcoin worth tens of billions of dollars. As far as I'm aware, Grayscale has never sold Bitcoin. It's never allowed Bitcoin to be redeemed. They don't do that because they are running a trust and they want to maintain one-to-one backing. Well, that isn't working very well for them because the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust is running at a massive deficit, which is one of the things that's costing DCG a huge amount of money. But on the other hand, they don't want to sell Bitcoin out of that trust because the whole point is to grow the amount of Bitcoin that they have. So if that is where they're taking that money from out of Grayscale, that signals a huge problem at DCG because that's not something that they do. They don't sell assets out of Grayscale to cover their tails. They try and make it work some other way. Making bad trades with Three Arrows Capital. You want to know more about that? Read this letter right here from Cameron Winklevoss. Anyway, moving on here. Crypto broker Genesis Global Trading, which currently owes creditors more than $3 billion, is the company in question here. They have a $3 billion hole in their balance sheet. $900 million of that is owed to Genesis Earn program, which owes about 1 million different users money of their own, but they can't give them that money because Genesis is holding it. DCG pretty much responded and said, well, it's your fault for doing business with us. Well, hopefully we would be able to trust to do business with you, DCG. Perhaps not. Customers are currently unable to withdraw funds from Genesis after it halted withdrawals on November 16th, which prompted Cameron Winklevoss on behalf of his exchange Gemini and its users with funds on Genesis to call for the board of DCG to remove Barry Silbert as chief executive officer of the firm in a January 10th open letter. We did a stream on January 10th. It may have been January 11th. I think it was January 10th where I read this entire thing on stream. So I'm going to save you from me reading this today. You can go back to that stream on January 10th, find it, and then you can go and watch my detailed breakdown of every word of this open letter. It is quite fiery. According to Winklevoss, Genesis owes Gemini $900 million for funds that were lent to Genesis as part of Gemini's Earn program, which offers customers the ability to earn an annual yield of up to 7.4%. Winklevoss also claimed DCG owes $1.67 billion to Genesis, though Silbert denied this. I believe it, especially considering Barry Silbert came out and said the $1.1 billion promissory note, which would be paid back over the course of 10 years, is having its payments made to it. And then he kind of denied that it didn't exist. It's very strange. Soon after Winklevoss's letter, the United States Securities and Exchange Commission poured fuel on the fire, charging both firms on January 12th with offering unregistered securities through the Earn program. That's this article over here. This is another big deal. Looks like Genesis and Gemini are both in the hot seat. In fact, Gary Gensler even made a video right here talking about it. We at SEC Gov charged Genesis and Gemini for the unregistered offer and sale of crypto asset securities through Gemini Earn. Crypto intermediaries need to comply with our securities laws. This protects investors. It promotes trust in markets. It's not optional. It's the law. I'll leave this one for right now. We might come back to this, but the fact is they're coming after both of those entities. DCG is in a world of hurt right now because they could be going bankrupt. You don't stop. By the way, you don't stop paying dividends to your shareholders, unless you're in a real pickle. You know why? Because when you stop paying people money, they stop being interested in your investment. And you know what they do? They try to sell it and move on. One of the reasons that you buy a stock that provides dividends is because you want dividends. If the stock isn't providing dividends, that leads to sell pressure on the stock, and then people try and liquidate it, and then that brings down the market capitalization of the company, which means that the company cannot raise money anymore, or at least as effectively, by selling shares of itself onto the open market. When that happens, they have less ability to raise funds through their own valuation to do what? To cover a hole in their accounts worth $3 billion. I want to be very clear here. I'm not saying that we know that DCG is going to go bankrupt. In fact, I think there is a solid opportunity for them to restructure and for them to figure a way out of this. The problem is that if they don't, Grayscale is holding 600,000 Bitcoin. Let me say that again. Grayscale is holding 600,000 Bitcoin. By my head math, that would be worth about $26 billion. That is a huge amount of money. And if they go bankrupt, all of that gets dumped onto the market. You want to talk about sell pressure? That's some sell pressure. A lot of it would probably get sold over the counter. But the fact is, a lot of that Bitcoin is not Grayscale's. It's people that bought the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. So it's actually customer funds in one way or another that would need to be returned to them. You would be talking about a bankruptcy proceeding 4 times larger than FTX if just Grayscale goes bankrupt, let alone if Genesis and DCG do as well. By the way, that also brings down Coindesk, the largest publication in the entire industry. Definitely something that we want to pay attention to. Will they go bankrupt? We don't know at this point. I can't see their books. What I can tell you is that they probably do owe creditors $3 billion, and they probably are having a very hard time of it right now because they engage in some very, how should we say, bad faith accounting and lending practices. Time will tell what happens. For now, though, the question is, how will Bitcoin respond to this news? Well, Bitcoin seems to be largely ignoring it. And that is a wonderful thing about Bitcoin, is that Bitcoin, when it's in a bull market, when it's in a major rally, it just kind of brushes off bad news. And that's actually one of the things that just proves to me the strength of Bitcoin right now, and actually gives me more confidence that we're going to have just a meteoric breakout here in the next couple of days, is that this is really bad news. If you don't... DCG is one of the most powerful companies in the entire crypto space. It's in a league of its own. It really is up there with Coinbase, Binance, Crypto.com, FTX used to be in that league, and that's about it. There's not a whole lot of players that size in crypto. There just aren't. DCG's one of like 5, and is one of the biggest of those 5. If it goes bankrupt, it's a big deal. And the fact is, that news is being seen by everybody who pays close attention to this market. And yet, Bitcoin still has a lot of buy pressure. And yet, Bitcoin is still making higher highs. And yet, Bitcoin is still making higher lows. I mean, this news came out 8 hours ago. This didn't just come out like 15 minutes ago and people just haven't seen it yet. This came out 8 hours ago, and the writing's been on the wall for like 3 weeks, ever since Cameron Winklevoss started sending out all those tweets. But yeah, Bitcoin continues to march forward. That actually gives me a lot of hope in the bulls, and it gives me a lot of confidence that, you know what, maybe, just maybe, Bitcoin does have what it takes to break through $21,500 and blast off. It did just set a local high an hour ago. By the way, it just set a new local high up here at $21,651. Every day that we go sideways in this kind of action right here, the more and more confident I get that Bitcoin is going to go through a major breakout, and you're going to see crypto break well and truly above $1 trillion. It's inching up here as we speak. It's up $2 billion since we started the stream. I would not be at all surprised if we saw a massive breakout in just the next couple of days, which would save Digital Currency Group's skin, which, by the way, also makes me wonder, why is Digital Currency Group looking like it's going to go bankrupt right while there's a major rally in the market? Who in the industry would have the resources and capabilities to cause a gigantic short squeeze that would cause Bitcoin to rally enough that their company would be able to remain solvent? DCG! That's it! If one company was large enough to manipulate the cryptocurrency space, this is tinfoil hat time. No proof here, no allegations, no accusations here, just a coincidence, we'll call it. If there was one company in the entire industry that was large enough to move the market $5,000 or $6,000 to stave off bankruptcy because their assets would increase in value by 40% so that they could remain solvent and not all go to prison. Other than FTX, it would be DCG and Grayscale specifically. I don't know whether that's happening, but what I can tell you is right before FTX went bankrupt, there was a very strange string of about $1.2 billion worth of short liquidations that happened where? On FTX. 3 weeks later, FTX went bankrupt. They weren't able to rally the market enough. Is there intentional market manipulation going on right now for the purpose of propping up the Bitcoin market so that DCG doesn't go bankrupt? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I have absolutely no evidence that direction, but it is coincidental timing that the market is able to go through such a gigantic rally seemingly out of nowhere on nothing but bullish CPI news. And by the way, PPI news, which we're going to talk about here in a second. And it's able to do so. Why? Well, there are fundamental reasons. For example, the Dixie is going down. The S&P 500 is going up. The war in Ukraine has calmed down a little bit. The oil market in the United States has calmed down a lot a bit. And people are generally thinking, okay, the bottom was 15.5. Fair enough. There are reasons to believe that the bottom might be in. We might be going into a bull market. It is also just, in my opinion, very coincidental, strange timing that is happening right now. Anyway, let's go ahead and read chat here for a second. Give me 1 second. I just unplugged my headphones. Make sure I get those plugged back in. Where'd my headphones go? Check. There we go. Sorry. Man, we're having all kinds of audio problems today, aren't we? All right, let's read chat for just a second, and then we're going to jump into the charts. Guys, we've gotten 500 people in the stream, but only 120 likes. Let's get up to 300 likes here in the next couple of minutes. Really appreciate all of you that tune in every single day. Let's go ahead and read a super chat. We got one from OMAC, donated $10. The Winklevoss twins have to fight aggressively because no one will trust them with their money. Remember how bad they lost out on Meta by Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah, the Winklevoss twins have been getting screwed over by people more rich than them for a very long time, which is strange because they've always been very wealthy. Jebb, what do you think of Tron? It's been around for half a decade, and I haven't personally seen it do anything that's interesting to me. I'm not going to say it's a bad project, but it hasn't piqued my interest. Justin Sun hasn't either. Okay, Mike, listen. Let's see. Let's see. Let us see here. Let's read just a couple of chats. Well, also, most of the bankruptcy and doom of these companies fall in a bear market, isn't it? Yes, that's true. If we're in a bull market, it's unlikely that they're going to go bankrupt because it's so easy to print money. Normally, that's going to happen in the massive bear market. All right, people who DCA the bottom are rejoicing. Yes, we bought Bitcoin down at 16.2. I'm very excited about that. Crypto is the fastest boat, but a falling tide grounds all ships. That's right. Earlier, I meant I would like to hear an opinion from Jebb about Big Boy Crypto after all the accusations he has received to be a scammer for which he has deleted related videos and comments. I don't know anything about all of that, to be honest with you. I have no idea. So I don't really have an opinion on that front. Let's see here. Let us see here. All right, we're going to go ahead and jump into our technical analysis for today. We already did a little bit of it. I just want to dive into it a little bit more. And then in our third segment here, we're going to jump into some fundamentals of the macro environment. We're going to talk about the PPI, and we're also going to, not the CPI, the PPI. And then we're also going to talk about this article over here that I saw on my phone earlier. This is a very interesting one. We will go ahead and read this. Emmanuel Todd, World War III has already begun. No, nothing crazy happened overnight. There wasn't a war declaration overnight. Don't worry. You don't have to run down to your bomb shelter and leave the stream, but it is a very interesting prediction and analysis that Mr. Emmanuel has over there. He's the French guy I was talking about earlier. All right, as far as the technicals are concerned, Bitcoin has been in an absolutely massive rally over the last 7 days. Let's just go ahead and do a bit of a refresher. As I told you, we are currently seeing a major correlation between the Dixie and the S&P 500. Dixie has been going down. Let's go to the daily chart. This will show up a little easier. We've seen the Dixie going down. That is this chart right here. We've also seen the S&P 500 relatively recently moving to the upside, especially through the FTX collapse. As FTX collapsed, the stock market actually rallied a lot, probably because a lot of people left crypto and put it back into the stocks. But we've seen two trends going on here. We've seen a general trend up on the stock market, a general trend down on the S&P, on the Dixie, but then also more recently, ever since about January the 5th, we've seen an uptrend, an even more aggressive, shorter-term uptrend taking place on the S&P 500 and a more aggressive downtrend on the Dixie. Remember, we are positively correlated with the S&P 500. We are inversely correlated with the Dixie. So when the S&P 500 goes up and the Dixie goes down, that is prime time for Bitcoin and crypto. Of course, we also have the fact that a week ago today, which was the 11th, I believe it was the 11th. Do I have that right? I believe it was the 11th. Might have been the 12th. I believe it was the 11th. We had CPI drop on January 11th, and that came back very bullish. We had a 0.6% drop. There's a phone video on, there's a video, a hat video, we'll call it, I guess, on the channel where I talked about that CPI print. We released that about 20 or 30 minutes after that print. From there, Bitcoin just took off like a Roman candle because everybody was excited about the prospect of the stock market rallying, the Dixie going down, and also, as we've talked about on this channel, it is a little bit more difficult to invest in real estate right now if you're anything but somebody who can buy a house outright because the loans have gotten so expensive. On top of that, the predictions are pretty much guaranteed at this point that we'll see a 25 basis point rate hike coming on February 1st. I could do an entire stream on the rates and why they are where they are right now. They are not just fighting inflation, but the fact that they've come down means that the squeeze that the Fed is putting on the consumption of the market is lightening, which means that the consumption of the market can likely at least not be squeezed as hard, maybe not pick back up, but it won't be squeezed as hard, and the stock market would be able to have a bit of a rally. With that 25 basis point rate hike that will be coming in February 1st, you will very likely see a break on the S&P 500 above this downtrending level of resistance, which will likely lead to a rally in stocks across the board. When that takes place, you will probably see a correlated event between the stock market and Bitcoin, where Bitcoin is able to go through another major rally in correlation with the S&P 500 and in inverse correlation to the Dixie, because the Dixie will probably go down as well. That probably is confusing because I just switched the color on you. The Dixie will probably be going down even more, and the S&P 500 will probably be going up even more, which will lead to an even greater difference between those two, which will allow even more rallying on the price of Bitcoin, as well as the fact that the federal funds rate directly has an impact on Bitcoin, because people are looking at the funds rate in the Bitcoin market as well, and also making trades and investments based off of what the rates are doing, what CPI is doing, and also based off of what PPI is doing, the producer price index, which we'll talk about here in just a second. The point is, Bitcoin right now is in kind of a golden opportunity. It's in a golden moment to make the most of the rates, to make the most of the CPI, to make the most of the stock market, to make the most of the Dixie, and everything else that is impacting it. There is even more likelihood that we'll see movement to the upside. I mean, even if you think about it, even the fact that the United States is sending a ton of tanks, or excuse me, not the United States, even the fact that Britain has greenlit sending 14 Challenger 2 tanks to the Ukrainian war is likely probably helping Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is seen as a risk-on asset, and if it looks like Ukraine has a better chance of winning the war rather than Russia, who would roll over Ukraine and knock on NATO's doorstep and then threaten World War III, you're more likely to invest in a risk-on asset if the world order that you were used to, at least somewhat, is seeming like it will continue. If it seems like Russia's going to win the war, many of the people that are playing with large amounts of money, maybe not the retail, because they might not realize this might be a little beyond their purview, you might say. The big players that understand what's going on geopolitically are going to be less inclined to invest in a risk-on asset like Bitcoin. They're going to be more likely to be in T-bills. They're going to be more likely to be in the US dollar, because if Russia does come a-knocking, the best place to park your money is in Lockheed Martin stock, not in Bitcoin. But if the Challenger 2 tanks are going over there, and if in the next couple of weeks the Leopard 2 tanks are freed up by the German SDP, then you're probably going to see a renewed offensive in the summer, and the Ukrainians will probably be able to fight back against the Russians and hold on for a lot longer, maintaining the New World Order that was announced in 1991 by President George Herbert Walker Bush. I don't mean the New World Order in like the Illuminati sense. I mean, it was literally called the New World Order, the idea that America guarantees globalization and the Soviets have fallen and there's one power left. So long as that order continues, then people are more likely to invest in a risk-on asset because there's plenty. It's an idea of plenty. However, if you have the Cold War coming back, people are going to be much less likely to invest in risky technology like Bitcoin. So, all of those facts come together to give Bitcoin a golden opportunity to go into a major rally, especially considering $15,500 was a major bottom. People really do think, okay, that was really low. Like, Bitcoin dropped a lot. I could see that being the formal bottom. There are many people who could very well see Bitcoin having fully bottomed out at $15,500. I buy it. I can see it. If we zoom forward 5 years, it makes sense to me. Looking back, okay, Bitcoin bottomed out at $15,500 during that bull market, during that bear market. That actually kind of makes sense to me. I'll buy it. And I think a lot of people are buying it right now, both literally and metaphorically. I was buying it. I was buying it on the way down. I didn't buy any in here because I'd already bought everything I wanted to at the prices I want. We got in at 16.2, I think was our lowest buy on Bitcoin. So we've got the buys that we wanted down here. A lot of people are buying even more now, though. They're dollar cost averaging like we've been talking about, and they are interested in moving this market to the upside. So that's my perspective on Bitcoin, is that even more so than what we're seeing on the short-term technicals, which, yes, are encouraging, that being that Bitcoin is in, it's in a rising wedge, but really I would personally look at this more like like an ascending triangle pattern, even though, yes, technically it is a rising wedge, a very well-defined one. I would personally look at this more like an ascending triangle pattern that's breaking up just based on the market sentiment. That's great, but that broader context of information, I think, is what's far more valuable to the understanding of the Bitcoin market right now. On top of that, one final thing here. Ethereum has basically confirmed a break above some pretty major resistance set by this downtrend, and it's pretty close to breaking resistance set by this downtrend right here. It's broken one, now it just needs to break the other one. If it doesn't break the other one, then yes, you could see Ethereum falling back down to like 1,300, maybe back down to 1,450, but Ethereum is following Bitcoin right now. So whatever Bitcoin does, Ethereum's going to follow. If Ethereum's able to break this downtrend, Ethereum's large enough. Remember, Ethereum's almost half the size of Bitcoin. We're looking at a $200 billion market, whereas Bitcoin is a $400 billion market. You're looking at a big enough market that it could kick off a rally on its own. Nothing else in crypto really could, but Ethereum could. If Ethereum breaks that downtrend, then you likely see it knocking Bitcoin into high gear, and we have a major rally to the upside. Again, we're sitting right here on the edge. Bitcoin is at literally $1 trillion right now. Crypto is at literally $1 trillion right now. Whether we see a breakout here or not in the next week is going to determine a lot. I'm leaning more in the direction of, we're going to see a pretty big breakout, just because it really does seem like the sentiment is there. And even looking at the shorts, there's a lot of people getting liquidated right now. And those people are probably very sad. And they're probably very much like, the bulls are too strong. I'm going to turn into a bull for a little while. Or I'm going to wait for a better opportunity. Or I'm going to wait for the market to drop $3,000 before I short again. And they're probably going to be sitting on the sidelines, or maybe even turning into bulls. Point is, Bitcoin has a golden opportunity right now to go through a huge breakout. Let's read some chat, and then we'll keep it moving. We've got almost 200 likes going on in the stream. Thank you guys so very much for that. If you wouldn't mind smashing that like button, it really helps to support the channel in the algorithm. And also, let me know what you think about the stream. Let me know what you think about the cryptocurrency market, and drop a comment down below so that I will know. All right, Bedrock still present. Absolutely. Bedrock is here. Matt C said, gotta jump. Have a great day, everyone. Have a great day, Matt C. Thank you so much for tuning in. All right. Let's see. Good day to you too, Colin McDonald. What did Colin McDonald say? Had to go. Oh, good day, all. Good day. Have an amazing day and take care, Matt C. Absolutely. Ukraine in the membrane. I know I ask a lot of questions, but tell us how you entered into Crypto Jebb. Literally, I will tell you what happened with Crypto Jebb. I basically said, you know what? There's all these other people making videos in crypto. I bet I can do that too. And I just, on a whim, sat down one day and made a video and uploaded it. That was November 16th, 2017. It's over 5 years since that date, and I've been making content pretty much every day since. It's really about it. I've just been making videos and learning and growing my knowledge and trying to become better at what I do and meeting cool people and, making a living here in crypto and living my life. And I love it. I love it. In high school, I never thought, well, actually, I take that back. There was a part of me that always wanted. But I never actually really believed that I would get to be a YouTuber for a living. It's really cool. Silent said, I'm here. I made it. Hello, Silent. I'm going to read chat here for just another minute or two, and then we're going to jump into some macro that we want to pay attention to. Very, very important things to look at. I DCA'd on red days under 25,000. Take the guessing out, long-term outlook. Absolutely. That's definitely the way to do it. By the way, guys, one of the other things I want to show you on Bitcoin really quickly before we move on here is LuxAlgo. LuxAlgo is looking ridiculously bullish right now. I talked about this on Office Hours yesterday. If you were there, Brian and Mario were there. Bitcoin's Office Hours. Bitcoin's LuxAlgo is absolutely ridiculously bullish right now. If you guys haven't gotten LuxAlgo, you need to, and I'll show you why. The last time we had a confirmed buy signal on Bitcoin was right here, 28th of February, 2022. That was basically a year ago, 11 months ago. And yes, the market rallied, but we were in this really strong downtrend. This was a corrective rally. Wasn't a whole lot to write home about. The last time we really saw a very strong very strong buy signal, it was really confirmed. I'm talking confirmed with the EQ cloud and really pushed us up into the reversal zones and really had strong fundamentals. All of that was back here. Because remember, this happened February 28th. That was 4 days after the Russian-Ukrainian war. If we really thought that Bitcoin was going to go into a major rally when one of the biggest wars in the last 70 years was launched and Bitcoin's viewed as a risk-on asset, good luck. We could have and we should have weeded out those signals. The last time we really saw a confirmed buy signal were these two confirmed buy signals. The market did exceptionally well. Well, now, and we do have the fundamentals and the macro backing us this time, we've seen a buy signal. It has, over the last 7 days, been confirmed by LuxAlgo's trend catcher. Then we saw EQ Cloud turn bullish. Then we broke into the reversal zone. Then we broke above the reversal zone. Now we're riding the top of the reversal zone. We're seeing the bottom reversal band just absolutely moonshot and many other things. For example, we see trend catcher being well above the EQ cloud. I was talking about this yesterday on Office Hours, which, by the way, I have some updates for Office Hours coming out probably next month, just so that you guys have some information on that. But one of the things I was talking about in Office Hours was the fact that you can use the trend catcher and the EQ cloud in correlation. Whenever the trend catcher is well above the EQ cloud, as you can see, this is the EQ cloud right here, a lot of times that indicates that you're moving into more bullish territory. In this case, before FTX flopped, we were moving into more bullish territory. We had a black swan that crashed the market, but we were moving into more bullish territory. The trend catcher had moved sideways out of the EQ cloud. It was above it. We were actually in a pretty solid bullish setup here, but then we saw a major bankruptcy, so that's why that didn't go anywhere. Perhaps that's why we're rallying so much right now. There was pent-up bullishness that we were trying to release back over here. That's definitely a theory. On the other hand, if you see the trend catcher being far below the EQ cloud right here, generally speaking, that's going to mean that the market is very much in bearish territory. Well, right now, the trend catcher is not only did it trade sideways out of the EQ cloud to get above it, it's also moving up away from the EQ cloud. The distance between the top of the EQ cloud and the trend catcher right now is immense. We have not seen that much distance in a bullish sense since the last bull market. I mean, you can see like 8-10%. Basically, the distance between the green trend catcher and the EQ cloud that we're seeing right now looks just like what we saw in October 2021, when we saw a major rally, and right here in August of 2021 when we saw a major rally. Both of these rallies were 77% and 73% respectively. It's very possible that what we're seeing right now is the beginning of something similar, and if Bitcoin did rally 77% from where it was, I mean, goodness, you'd bring Bitcoin up to what, maybe $30,000? That might be where Bitcoin is right now. This is the first time, and I'll just to make it even a little more clear on you before we move on here. If you strip away the reversal zones, the dashboard, and even the signals, I just show you these two pieces of the indicator, and you look at where the trend catcher is in relation to the EQ cloud, we have not seen the trend catcher be that far above EQ cloud in a very long time. The last time was right here, and there was a lot of exuberance in the market right here. But again, we had just entered one of the largest global conflicts that we've seen in a century a month earlier. So going into a bull market right here was very unlikely, and we were in a rising wedge that, predicted that we were going to move to the downside through this guy right there, and it predicted it very well. This is a golden opportunity. And that's what we're going to be calling it. All right, let's go ahead and read chat for just a second again, and then we're going to go back into some macro things. Jebb, can you check ADA? I can very quickly, and then we're going to move on because we are running out of time here. ADA in symmetrical triangle pattern. Yes, I see it too. ADA, I would say, is in a symmetrical triangle pattern. Let me go ahead and show you you can see that symmetrical triangle pattern being right here. In fact, this is a very interesting trend line because it encapsulates not only recent data, but even further ago data sitting up here in the high tens of numbers on in January as far as dates are concerned. And also the other thing to keep in mind is that on the logarithm chart, ADA has more or less broken its downtrending level of resistance that it's been under for like a year and a half. ADA is likewise in a very, very strong position. And if we come in here and turn back on our confirmation signals, you're going to see we're under one of the first very strong buy signals that we've been under in a while. And also just stripping it back down to the trend catcher and the EQ cloud, you can see this is the first time that you are really seeing the trend catcher get above the EQ cloud. We've only seen that happen a couple of times in the last year, and all of those times were at the very peak, but something else in crypto brought them down. Right now, the broader environment in crypto is looking like a bigger rally is coming, so it is very possible that we've seen the bottom on down here on Cardano. If so, it dropping 92% would make sense that that would be the bottom. We really are in territory where it makes sense that the bottom for Bitcoin is in. The question now is just, is it? Thanks, Jebb, for your answer. I feel you're one of the few trustable crypto channels. Keep it up. Wish you all the best. But guys, the thing is, I just want you guys to be successful, and I'm not always the best at helping you guys with that. The fact is, there's a lot that needs to get done, and there's some things that I'm really trying to make sure are running as smoothly as I can for you guys, and I really am trying. But anyway, I love my job, and I really appreciate you guys. Hey, Jebb, still trying to get support for accessing Bitcoin Academy. No response to support email or on Twitter. Josh M., I want you to do something for me because we're having issues with our support line right now. I want you to send me a direct message on Twitter, and I will try and find it. If you can just go ahead and tell me what your Twitter is, I will friend you on Twitter, and then you can send me a DM so that I can directly respond to that, because there is an issue going on with our support, and that's on me. So I do apologize for that. Josh M., really, really sorry about that. I think anything that would have been breaking Bitcoin Academy on our side, I thought we had fixed, but it'd be helpful to talk to you and get some insight on exactly what's going on there. Okay. Love you and your show, Jeff. Thank you, Matanya Holmes. Really excited about some of the improvements and updates that we're going to be making to the show relatively soon. I'm just very excited about all of it. Freedom Advocate said, I've been watching the show, just working out in between. There you go. Heck yeah, guys. All right. Jumping into our final segment here. Going to be a short one, but going to be a very important one. The PPI, the Producer Price Index, is a family of indexes that measures the average change over time in selling prices received by domestic producers of goods and services. So think of a barbershop buying scissors. Think of, Publix supermarkets buying potatoes. Think of, let's think of an oil refinery taking in oil. That's what we're looking at. We're looking at the final assembly, final producer, final servicers, them buying things. The CPI is the Consumer Price Index. That's the actual end consumer buying stuff. We're talking about the end producer at the end of the supply chain buying stuff with this number. PPIs measure price change from the perspective of the seller. This contrasts with other measures such as the Consumer Price Index that measures price change from the purchaser's perspective. Sellers' and purchasers' prices may be different due to government subsidies, sales and excise taxes, and distribution costs. So, taking a look at the actual numbers, you can go to bls.gov/PPI instead of CPI, and you will find the Producer Price Index. This is arguably just as important of a metric as CPI, and the reason is, well, an economy is not just driven by consumption, it's also driven by production. It is driven by investment. It is driven by capital costs. It is driven by debt. It is driven by credit. It's driven by all sorts of things. And the amount of money that it takes for a producer to create things is a huge part of that. So, PPI is broken down into two major categories, goods and services. So you've probably heard of the idea of goods and services. Goods are things that you buy. Services are things that you buy from people that they would do for you or to you. So services is hospitals, barbershops, people working in retail. Goods are the things that they're actually buying. That's people going to the grocery store. That is people buying gasoline, etc. Services has gone up by 0.1%. That actually makes a lot of sense because labor costs have only gotten more expensive as the cost of living has gotten expensive. But what makes sense also is that the cost of goods has actually gone down 1.6% over the last 12 months on the 1 month change. If you'll remember, this is basically a moving average. This is the update in the moving average. If we were to draw a moving average through the actual number of PPI, then you would see for goods, then you would see that it has gone down 1.6% over the last 12 months. However, it is still up 6.2% since December of 2021. So it's up 6.2% year over year. The change is negative 1.6%. That's similar to CPI, where we can just duplicate this chart and then change one letter here and go to the CPI. You can see that all items is sitting at 6.5. Before, it was sitting at 7.1. So that means that we saw a decrease by 0.6%. This is saying that we saw a decrease by 1.6%, and the final number here is sitting at 6.2, whereas on CPI, it's sitting at 6.5 for all items. Again, two totally different numbers, but they're calculated and shown in a very similar way. You can even come over to this publication right here, and you're going to see the 12-month percentage change in producer price indexes for final demand, November 2017 through November 2022. This gray zone, if you're ever looking at a government chart, that generally represents a recession or something similar to that. You can see construction, total, goods, and a few others. That you could turn on here, like food, energy, goods, less food, services, trade services. Just turning all of them on here. Actually, we'll turn off energy because energy is the one that really went wild. Basically, you've seen a major increase across the board ever since the baseline set at 2017. But the numbers are actually starting to go down over the last 6 months or so. So if you look at the total right here looks a little bit something like this. You can see the total reached all the way up to 11.7. It was down at negative 1.5 right after the pandemic, rallied all the way up to 11.7. Now it's down to 7.4, and it dropped down to 6.2, I believe is where it dropped down now. So we've seen a major drop on it. That is the thing that we want to see. It's very important because it essentially means that inflation is getting under control. It does not mean that the price of goods has gone down. It means their increase year over year has slowed. There is a very big difference there. That does mean that the supply chain, at least in the United States, has started to stabilize and has started to onshore many things. For the amount of goods that were coming in through imports and through the trade deficit, the United States is going to have to more than likely increase the industrial base by a factor of 2, between 50 and 125%. The industrial manufacturing base in the United States is going to have to increase because China is going offline. There was a publication that was released just a little while ago talking about how China's birth rate is sitting just barely above one child per woman, which is not even half what it takes to grow a population. In fact, China's population peaked, according to their falsified data, that added 100 million people since after the one-child policy was removed around the mid-'80s. Their population peaked and actually declined by 800,000 people last year. In fact, I think it was 2021, they declined by 800,000 people. Very big changes in the global economy. And one of the final things I want to talk about here with the global economy is this article. Emmanuel Todd, I don't have a lot of time to go into this. World War III has already begun, he says. The French historian says that the West is now in an existential conflict. I will let you guys read this on your own because we are running out of time, and this is kind of a longer, not a longer article, but a very intricate article. But the thing I want to basically point out here is this. No more than Russia, America cannot withdraw from the conflict. They cannot let go, Todd claimed. This is why we are now in an endless war, in a confrontation whose outcome must be the collapse of one or the other. The additional prospect of China waging a Cold War against the West will lead to the rise of developing countries like India, according to the French thinker, while Europe declines. Europe likely is going to go through a large decline. India probably will go through a lot of growth because their demographics support it. However, their political structure may not, as well as their infrastructure. Despite the U.S. being twice as populated as Russia, Todd said only 7% of American students focus on engineering compared to 25% in Russia. The U.S. fills the gap with foreign students, but they're mainly Indians, even more than Chinese, he went on. It's a dilemma of the American economy. It can only face competition from China by importing skilled Chinese labor, he says. Not so sure about that, but the main thing that he's talking about here is that Russia is fighting for their very existential existence. It is an existential conflict for Russia, and when Russia realized that they weren't going to be able to run over Ukraine, this became a battle to the death. Somebody is going to capitulate, either the West or Russia, and whichever one fails is going to have a stake driven through their heart, socially economically, politically, and historically. It is the end of one of those two civilizations. And that's why you are seeing the West buckle down on sending weapons and arms to Ukraine, because this is the end of one of those civilizations' power on the global stage for good. It's more than likely going to be Russia. Russia very likely cannot sustain all of the arms and weapons and bullets and everything that's being sent to Ukraine. But they are backed into a corner. And when you back a rabid animal into a corner, a lot of times they're going to give it everything they have because they have no other option. That is why I talk about the Russia-Ukrainian conflict so much, because it is going to define the way that geopolitics and civilization works for the next 70 years, the same way World War II did. Luckily, the bloodshed is a little bit smaller, but it's still horrible, reprehensible, and God willing, it end today. Unfortunately, that's probably not what's going to happen. All right. Could be something to do with the major international crypto enforcement action. Let's see. I'm going to read chat here for a few minutes before we wrap it out. We have local restaurants adding an inflation charge to checks rather than adding it to specific items. Guests are not happy. Yes, we're seeing quite a lot of that go on. None of the chat or super chat working for the message I want to send. I'm sorry, Siobhan. But I want to be friends with Jebb. We can be friends, Dr. Fuzzy Eyeball. Hello. Joshua Morasco. Let's see here. Let's go over here. Search you up. Just boom, follow you. And then say, I will go ahead and shoot you a DM here in a little bit. Hello. Let me hang on one second. I'm going to send you this live on air so that you know that it's not a scammer. It's actually me. All right. I just said hello. There you go. Josh M. That's me that just said hello with an exclamation mark. So you can respond to me and I'll try and get that sorted out for you. I'm really sorry our support line isn't working right now. We're trying to get that fixed. Birth rate can't sustain for the next 15 years. Yeah, the problem is that you had a huge generation give birth to a smaller generation. That smaller generation has a lower birth rate, so they're giving birth to a catastrophically lower generation in China. China is likely to lose 400 million people to aging in the next 30 to 40 years, while over the next 30 to 40 years having to pay for that 400 million people's retirement. That is something that costs hundreds of trillions of dollars over the course of 30 years. That breaks an economy. We don't even know how that kind of economy works. How likely is it for DCG to go under in your opinion? I'd say relatively unlikely at this point. I'd say probably between 10 and 25%. Really hard to tell at this point, but I think it is something that we need to be very, very, very aware of. And those are by the way, those aren't numbers that I have a lot of backing for. That's just kind of an instinct. I really don't know all of the information I would need to know to be able to tell you that. None of the chat or super chat working for the message I want to send. Will Twitter do, Jebb? Yes, there you go, Siobhan Golay. You can tweet and at me on that if you would like. Alrighty. Let's see. Now's the time if you guys have anything you want me to see or read or say or cover. Now would be the time to do it because we're going to go ahead and read chat here before we wrap it out. But really, the main thing I want you to take away from this stream is the fact that Bitcoin has a golden opportunity right now. And it can either make the most of it by breaking above $22,000 and crypto breaking above $1 trillion, or it can blow it and Bitcoin can drop back down to 16K. I'm more inclined to say that Bitcoin's going to rally and that's going to do well. The tricky thing is that even as we're talking right now, Bitcoin's kind of blowing it. I mean, even just literally right now, let's just show you this. Even right now, Bitcoin is falling to the downside. Please, bulls, hold bulls. There's such a great opportunity. But if we do have a correction, the opportunity will probably still be here in a week or two. Maybe we correct down to $20,000 backtest, and then that's where we get the spring that allows the bulls to get the momentum to push us to the upside. Perhaps. Either way, whether it's right now or a week from now, Bitcoin has a golden opportunity, and I'm really, really hoping the bulls will make the most of it. I think they have a solid chance, but it just comes down to who's got the buy pressure. It also comes down to whether people are paying attention to this article or not, because this is a scary one. So, that's my 2 Satoshis. Let's see. Please check the announcement from Coindesk 30 minutes ago. I will read that when the stream is over. I will jump into that, and if it's something big, then I will go ahead and make a phone video about it if I have time. Way to go, Bitcoin, and DM you, Jebb. Boom, there you go. All right, guys. We had the Fed Bostic speech this morning. I didn't hear it, but the market didn't like that. Yeah. Russia to knock on NATO's door. Have you seen the USA military map across the world made or NATO once? It's them who are surrounding Russia for ages in this way. Greetings from Snowden. Greetings from Snowden. Yes, that's my point, is that if Russia knocks on NATO's door and starts a war with them, Russia's going to get completely obliterated. Like, it would be a complete stomp. They have no chance. That's not really a good thing, though, because if it is a complete stomp, Russia has one final ace up its sleeve, and they're called nuclear weapons. You don't want that. You don't want those in play. You don't want a war with Russia on a ground war or a nuclear war, but you certainly don't even want the opportunity. As much as Russia is trying to create NATO into a buffer state against Russia and NATO, NATO is currently using Ukraine as a buffer state against Russia, and many people get on the side of that because of all the war crimes that Russia has committed. Anyway, really appreciate all of you guys tuning in. Going to go ahead and wrap it out. Keep praying for the world, guys. It is in a very sad situation, but it always has. It's not exactly that it gets worse every year. It's just that it's always been this bad. Sometimes we're just not paying as much attention. Not to be so doom and gloom on you. However, I am looking forward to this year. I think there's going to be a lot of wonderful things taking place this year, especially here on the channel. Really excited for the announcements that we're going to have coming up. Really excited for just all the growth that we're going to see this year and for the growth that you're going to see this year. But before I go, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for hitting that like button, signing up for Lux Algo, subscribing to the channel, following us on Twitter, all of those things. But first, I also just want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.